work in my free time or something like this. So
Yeah.
I don't know how it is about ambition of politicians.
You're right, but people in that position tend to overvalue their work.
Yes. Yeah.
And they dedicate themselves to their job, and there's nothing. There's no great value in the long term from dedicating yourself to your work, which kind of anybody can be trained to do anything to a certain extent, right? So and there's no reason why somebody can't come after you and do a better job than you. I mean, I have to realize that there are better teachers than me, right? We have to realize that in order to improve. There are people who know more, who have more experience. So this idea, you know, the grand plan of things. I mean, if you look at the most ideologically driven people in history, there are people without kids. Or people with no connection to their children. Tyrants of some kind. Hitler, Stalin, Mussolini, Genghis Khan, etc., etc. People who don't value family. You know, I did Hillary Clinton, for example.
No.
Look, Hillary Clinton has a daughter, but the daughter is not the daughter of her husband. So, I mean, there you begin.
It's not normal family.
Well, if your foundation is not good, it's really difficult to build anything at all. You know, that which is built on a weak foundation will never be as good as that which is built on a strong foundation.
And we are at the start of our topic. Not person who pay tax can vote. Also, the person who has kids can vote.
Well, you know, in history how it worked. I mean, I'll give you my personal perspective. My personal perspective, which is really controversial, all my perspectives are. My personal perspective is that not everybody should be allowed to vote. You need to either have a certain amount of property or your own business. These are the conditions for voting: a certain amount of property or your own business. Now, if you have one of those two things, and there might be more possibilities, I think that you have a right to vote. But I think if you don't own any property, then how the hell can you vote to manage property if you don't own it? Oh, that's stupid, right? That's like saying I can decide which mechanics should fix my car when I don't think of mechanics, right? I mean, that's just bizarre, right?
Yes, it's controversial, like my opinion to voting, but I think I don't know many voting system of presidential, but they direct vote.
Well, that's why. The reason why they don't have the direct voting is because America was founded as a republic, not a democracy, and it's not meant to have direct power. These systems are in place as checks and balances so that you don't have a first past the post system. If you know, in that sense, you have checks and balances when you have those systems in place. And I really don't think that. Well, look, let me give you a fact. Women live longer than men. That means women are a stronger voting force than men.
Mm-hmm.
right? It's a fact. Women's vote is more important than men's vote because women live longer than men.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fact. So, if governments understand statistics, which they do, they will market their policies to support women, not men, because more women will vote. That's why there's so many jobs for women as teachers.
Mm-hmm.
That's why there's so many jobs for women in offices, in government offices, because these people are being paid to vote for the system. Now, okay, so they live longer. They also, in general, use up more resources. That's negative. Because, unfortunately, less women start businesses. And there's a practical reason for this, because they have families and they have to take care of their kids. So, men and women are not designed to be equal. Not that they shouldn't be equal, they just can't be equal. You know, the physicality of things. Men can't have kids, women have to have the babies. So it's designed like that for a reason of balances. Now, of course, women can make a lot better decisions in a lot of areas than men. But I think it comes back to the fact that you either need to own property or run a business in order to understand decision making. And when you give the average person the right to vote, you destroy democracy because you create a socialist culture where people vote for whoever promises to give them the most money. And a classic example of this is single mothers. Single mothers don't have to worry a lot because they get a lot of support from the government. So the government pays mothers to be single. If the government didn't pay mothers to be single, then they would be forced to be more responsible about their choices about being a mother. So, and this we see in society 200 years ago, where if you were a single mother, you were blacklisted from society. You were what we call scum of the earth. You were the lowest of the low if you were a single mother. Now, it's almost cool, trendy, fashionable, and people are so sympathetic to single mothers. And this is wrong. Oh, sympathy for everybody, yeah, but why are we giving free money to people who make terrible choices? And this is the long-term result. Yes, but what would we do if we didn't give these people money? Well, why should you give people money for failure? I mean, where's the motivation? Where's the incentive?
To vote.
Right? Yeah, but for society, I mean, it destroys the future. So, and it gets worse, right? You know, trends get bigger and get worse, and so I think that I think there's a pendulum, right? It swings side to side, right? And you know, it's free and open, and then back to sort of leftist ideology, and then you know, conservative ideology, traditional values, and so on. And society swings between these 2 points. But we need to understand basic economic principles. I mean, what is the point in encouraging men to work if the government is just going to take all the money and give the money to women who have made failures of their lives? Right. I mean, I don't see the point. So what I'm saying is that I respect women enough to believe that they can make better choices. Right? I respect women enough to believe that they can build better futures for their kids and make the right choices in choosing future partners. And I think we need to take a little bit of a step and look at how open do we want things to be.
But in most cases, I think, and as people I know, is a closed cycle, as we can say it in English. Closed cycle. So I get more responsible thinking since I have children. So I think the people, I don't know if I can say it, but I think I have my friend, and she want to have a partner, she wants to have children, but when she has some partner, there are still problems. Their partnerships end after 1 or 2 years, and I know her for 12 years, and every time is the same. And she's crying, I want to have children, but I want children. I don't know where is the problem. But I think if she
I can tell
has
you
children,
exactly where the problem is. I can tell you exactly where the problem is. The problem is always you.
yes.
The problem is always you.
But I think her thinking gets narrow every
Yes, because
experience like this. No?
yeah, because the window of life
Mm-hmm.
gets narrower, and women tend to panic because if you're age 30 and you don't have a steady partner, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, the clock is ticking. And I work with some teenage groups, and one of the lessons that I try to teach them is the lesson of the windows of opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Life presents us with these windows of opportunity, and they sort of come in 5-year cycles. 0 to 5, this is roughly 0 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 50, I simplify it, 10 to 15, 15 to 20, 20 to 25, 25 to 30, 30 to 35. Now if you get to 35 and you don't have all of those things sorted at all of those times, like your 20 to 25 is your education, 25 to 30 is the job, and it is finding the job, it's finding the partner, 30 to 35 is having kids. Or you could do that earlier. You can bring everything closer to you, but you can't push it away, right? And if you haven't got the kids, the house, the partner, the marriage, everything all sorted, 35, which means you'd have it planned by the time you're 30, which means you have an idea for 25 about what the next step is. If you miss any of those points, your whole future is fucked. Right? Because then you have to make a decision very quickly, and it will probably be the wrong decision. So you've got to think really, really, really about those steps. There are lines, and you have to make a decision before you have to make that decision before you're 20. You have to make that decision before you're 25, before you're 30, before you're 35, because there are lines. And it's much harder for women than it is for men, because men can be 45 and have kids, and women can't. So it's very hard in that respect.
I think there is some higher power, I think, because when I was 24, I'm looking for girlfriend, some girlfriend friends, and I don't want in this time I had I don't want partner or something like that. I see only problems about it. But I think there was some higher power which is talking to me and saying you have to find her.
Well,
Because I
what if the higher power was just reason? Was just love? What if the
but
higher power?
yes, but when I was 24, I don't care about these windows. Yes, I don't care about it until 30. I have to have children or something like this. But I think we are programmed. We are programmed to it. Some of us.
Yeah. Well, there's a biological need, right? There's a biological drive to these things, and something just it doesn't just happen at 24. You've 24 years of experience, so yeah, it's that's a lot of things happening over a long period of time, and we learn things at a young age which return to us when we're older, and so perhaps we find the right things at the right time. Perhaps there's a higher power involved. The thing with saying there's a higher power involved, basically saying I don't have any control. Right?
I don't believe for things like this, but
yeah,
it
well,
was very simple to talk about it.
yeah, well, it's a very it's a passive approach to the situation. Yeah, you're either active or passive, right? You're either active in doing something to make something happen in the world, or the world is happening to you, in which case you're passive. And when we say that there's a higher power, it's a very it basically means I don't want to, or I'm not going to analyze it for whatever reason. Man, maybe people don't need to analyze it. If everything is working, you don't want to stop and analyze happiness too much, because you miss the point, right? Right? You miss the point. That life is not about the destination; it's about the journey. Yeah, if we focus on the destination, we'd all be jumping off bridges, right? if the destination was the most important thing. So it's not about that. It's about the experience, and there are things that happen that we can explain, but only in the same way that there are things that we can't predict. Like it too rain, it might not rain. It's really hard to say. So I think the most important thing to do on the journey is to understand the opportunities that we have. See, a lot of people meet people, and there's an opportunity for a relationship or something to develop, and they don't hold on to it. They just let it go, and nothing happens. Says me, who that's happened in my life. Okay, so I'm talking about my own experience here, and it's very important to realize the opportunities that exist when they exist, because a lot of people don't. They don't. The classic example is, anybody could go anywhere and do anything, but people don't. You wake up tomorrow and you could get on a plane and go to Venezuela. I don't know why you would want to do that, but but it's a possibility. But people don't do that. So recognize these potentials and these opportunities. Most people don't see those things. A lot of people have great ideas that come and then go. And the most important thing is that when the opportunity appears, it's not going to be there forever, right? If someone asks you to marry them, you can't say, well, I'll come back in 5 years, right? Right? I mean, that's ridiculous, right? I mean, if there's the people, the place, and the time, and when all of those things come together, you have to recognize the opportunity. And a lot of people don't. That's why families fall apart, marriages fail, people don't find partners, people are searching for perfection, which of course doesn't exist. They're not prepared to put in the hard work. They leave things to chance. They're passive, right? To find the right person, this is what you should tell your friend, right? Or I don't know who it is, okay? To find the right person, you have to become the right person. You have to be somebody that's so special that nobody wants to let them go. Because if you're that person, then the world will be knocking at your door, right? If you are that person. If you are not being the best that you can be, and this involves like making choices about being with the right people as well. If you're not there, then you start to worry. You start to think about, I'm not good at this, and I'm not good at that, and people are not going to like this part about me, and I can't find the right partner. I mean, if you're the right person, if you're a great person, people want to be with you. Naturally, people want to be with you. So the fact that you're worried about people who want to be with you, it means you're not being all that you can be. You have to, you have to work on yourself. You have to do what needs to be done. You got to work on yourself. You got to be great. You got to be. If you're a great person and someone is not respected being a great person, then you're not good at choices. You're choosing to be with the wrong people. So you've got to work on yourself and make yourself great, because great people have no problems finding partners. And great people are people who are constantly working on themselves and are not worried about what other people think about them. If you worry about trying to please other people, then you'll never be happy with who you are. And who wants to be with someone who's not happy with who they are? Nobody wants to be with someone who's not happy with who they are, because you should be spending your time with, Mr. or Mrs. Unhappy, right? And then nobody wants to be like that. So you can't find someone, because no one wants to be with someone who's not happy with who they are. Because if you loved life and you lived life to the full and you enjoy each moment, then you naturally attract people who like those properties. And if you make intelligent decisions about who you spend time with, then it's not going to be a problem finding the right person, because you won't have to worry anymore if you focus on just being yourself. I think anyway. That's my experience. So that's what I would that's what I would tell them is don't let the world happen to you. You need to happen to the world rather than let the world happen. So and yes, people have difficult choices and problems finding partners, but it begins with self-respect.
Mm-hmm.
Begins self-respect. So, so there we go. That's lecture. That's what I would say to them. Anyway,
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
right.